Hello everyone and welcome back to round 19 of our F124 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend for the sprint here at the Circuit of the Americas. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Singapore, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Of course, it's a little bit weird in F124 because obviously, like IRL, Japan now has moved to the start of the year. There's now like a 1 month break between Singapore and Kota, but we do finally return to Texas, the Lone Star State, and of course we're getting really close now to 130,000 subscribers, so if you aren't already, please do make sure you hit that sub button as well there. But taking a look at everything we've got going on then this weekend, we need to try and make sure that we beat out Hulkenberg in qualifying. We've got to try and make sure that we complete 6 laps without penalties or warnings. We want to try and make sure that we lift and coast for more than 30 seconds during a weekend, and we are going to try and complete the race strategy program on 2 different tyre types. I don't think we'll do that. We'll try and gamble it, see if we can score 8 points during the weekend. Of course, it is a sprint, so we have got twice the opportunities to try and get everything we want done as well there. And of course, we are still waiting for those rule changes to be confirmed ready for next season. Now, Hulkenberg is still working on a few bits and pieces behind the scenes as well in the team. But yeah, obviously, we're trying to save up all of our R&D ready for those regulation changes as well there. We've got a few mechanical components that need to go on the car this weekend. Really don't want to risk any penalties or anything like that. But of course, as always, timestamps will be linked down in the description below. And because it's a sprint weekend, I'll see you guys straight in qualifying.
The party in the USA continues right now. The Circuit of the Americas, undulating, high speed, downright thrilling. It is time for qualifying to set the grid for the Grand Prix.
Well, this is going to be a really tough qualifying for us. For whatever reason, I've tried countless setups during free practice, but the car just isn't gelling around this circuit at the moment. I'm not even convinced we're going to be able to go quicker than Hulkenberg, and of course, with the weird tyre rules of sprint qualifying in this series, it might be that we have to gamble on a set of softs, and then we're basically eliminated before we even get a sniff at Q3 there. It's very weird. I wish kind of it did properly enforce the tyre rules so that you can only use mediums in Q1, because of course, if you're in a backmarker car, basically everyone goes out for a run on the mediums, and then you all have to go softs. Because if one of the back markers does, then all of you have to. And of course, it's so tight in terms of performance that there's not really a lot else you can do about it unless you set an absolute whirly of a lap time. But yeah, we want a big weekend here. You know, Haas is back at home again. And obviously, the last time we were here, Hulkenberg actually scored points, didn't he, in the Miami sprint? Still his only points of the year. We round our way, though, through the final couple of corners. This lap's felt pretty tidy, a decent benchmark, so I'm going to be really upset if we're nowhere near anybody. Up towards the line. Okay, we go P9. Lando Norris struggling, but slower than Ricciardo, but he was on softs. We're going to have to be really strategic then at the end of Q1. We've come out on our soft compounded tyres, but we're in P14. So if by some miracle less than 2 drivers go quicker than me, then obviously we can afford to bail out of this lap almost immediately. Round our way through the final couple of corners. We've got to make sure that at least we start the lap. Because obviously otherwise, if I don't, and people do go quicker than me, then we're out in Q1 anyway. It's a very weird system you've got to employ. That was a terrible line down at turn 1. Are we through, though? That's the real question. We are. That's okay, then. We can abandon that. It's kind of what you have to do. It's really silly, but we are into Q2. Well, there we go. Happy with the time that we were able to set in the end there. Hamilton fastest ahead of Charles Leclerc. But yeah, P15 for us, so we still ended up 6 tenths clear of Hulkenberg, who went out on the soft compounded tyres, so not quite sure how we managed that. But I guess we'll wait and see if we can make Q3. Now we're in a very peculiar position here in qualifying, where all the soft compound runners are now slower than all the medium compound runners, because of course everyone that's out on softs is all the back markers, and we all used them in Q1. We should have a bit more tyre grip than most of the other back markers, is why Russell and Albon fighting it out down at turn 1. Come on, please back out. Thank you, Alex. Is George going to spot us as well? Yes, he just about is there. We need to make sure we're going out before we end up in traffic. As we shut the car through the S's, you've got so much grip still. Also backs out. What is Esteban Ocon going to do? I mean, what is that? Esteban Ocon just cuts the corner to try and get out of my way there. That is quite funny. So clearly the AI can occasionally get a bit desperate to get off of your path, but I don't actually know the time we're aiming for with a line like that. We're not going to be getting very close to it. But through the Turkey S section we go towards the end of the lap. They'll be very, very careful of track limits. This penultimate corner, so fun when you get it hooked up. It's a shame that time I didn't. Now, one more corner to go. Are we going to make our way into Q3 here in qualifying up over the line? P7. We are going to start 10th because I've only got a set of mediums, but I'm happy. And there we go then at the end of qualifying. Charles Leclerc, the big shocker there, out in Q2. As Lando Norris will go through quickest on a set of the softs. So, I mean, we were only 3/10 clear of Yuki Tsunoda in the end. But because obviously we kept that set of soft tyres from Q1, it has made all the difference. Even Lance Stroll able to go quicker than Charlie. Well, I figured out my battery usage by the time we made it into this final session, so that's good to know as we go into real qualifying a little later on. But we are still 2/10 up on Carlos Sainz. It is this final sector of the lap where we start to lose a little bit more. We'll try and really make sure that we've used every little bit of charge we've got in the car. 2 more corners to go. Flick it in, find the apex that time round. Beautiful line through the penultimate corner, and as we try and keep it tidy and balanced through the final turn. Oh, a little bit of oversteer in the end, but we go P6. Absolutely staggering. Well, there we go. You can clearly tell that there was a bit of a divide between Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, and the rest of the field there. So they had all used their sets of softs at least once earlier on in qualifying. I think Lance Stroll had actually used them in both sessions, but somehow was able to make it through. P6, though, on the grid for the sprint race. And once again, I think that's the 3rd weekend in the last 4. Well, sorry, no, I think that's the 3rd weekend in a row where we've been the fastest Ferrari-powered car.
So it is all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? We're racing then today in Travis County, Texas, around the 20 corners of the wonderful Circuit of the Americas. We'll be reaching speeds around 200 miles per hour here today, and there are plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the 2 DRS zones into turn 1 and the long back straight into turn 12. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday and he'll start from pole position. And Fernando Alonso completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Hamilton, Perez, Mr. Monaco, Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Stroll, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Ocon, Ricciardo, Albon, Gasly, Joe, Bottas, Sargent, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We will soon find out.
We've got a great chance of getting another points finish in this race. Keep it clean and hopefully we can work our way up the field.
Well, we have obviously got that target this weekend of trying to score 8 Drivers' Championship points and starting P6 in the sprint. Hopefully is going to be a good way to kick that off. I love the fact that the game recommends a stop as well during these sprints, but 10 laps ahead of us here from Kota, and it is meant to be dry right the way throughout this race. Let's do this thing. It's time for Sprint Race Saturday. Waiting on those 5 red lights. And it's going to be lights out. And away we go. Lando Norris getting off to an absolutely terrible start there. Carlos Sainz, though, gets off to a rocket launch down in towards turn 1. This is one of the AI's most aggressive tracks, and we find that out immediately there as Oscar Piastri wants to try and pinch me 3 wide as we make our way down the hill with him and George Russell. Of course, starts the real-life Canadian Grand Prix from pole later on, but we're not going to back out so easily. Round the outside we'll go of our Mercedes rival, and we make it through there as Oscar Piastri actually is now officially inside the game one of my rivals. We need to try and be ahead of him in the points. That is going to be quite difficult, but if we can keep getting good runs like we have done recently, then maybe it's going to be doable in the not-too-distant future, as Verstappen, though, romping away at the front of the field on lap 1. Looks like Hamilton, see, he absolutely loves this circuit as well there. Gets the jump on Fernando Alonso, as Perez in P4 as well. So Yeah, fairly dramatic start down at Turn 1, but Kota luckily is a venue where things do start to calm down quite quickly. I guess we'll wait to see what happens with the DRS. Well, I did forget to mention it in the intro, but Max Verstappen this weekend, it's all but guaranteed he's going to become Formula 1 World Champion as soon as I say that. We got yellows. Oh, no. Have I actually jinxed him? I have. Verstappen's engine explodes.
Okay, it looks like the problem's terminal. They're retiring the car.
I was literally about to say I didn't bring it up in sprint because he would need to win and Leclerc couldn't score points. Max Verstappen was winning and Charles Leclerc wasn't going to score points. Now that's gone out the window though, as we're going to be under pressure from George Russell. So are we going to see the Mercedes man get down the inside? Yes we are, but Verstappen out of the sprint race here in Texas. But of course he will be able to return for qualifying, so won't start the GP from the back. Oscar Piastri, how has he got that much straight line speed there? We were using the battery, we were in the slipstream with George Russell as well. There's Oscar Piastri, they're all a little bit of wheel banging as he tries to pinch me towards the apex. Ooh, we're willing to throw it all on the line there, wheel to wheel still with the Australian who cuts the corner. They try and make sure they give him some room on the exit, but we've hung on this time. Problem is all this battling is just meaning every car in front is just getting away. How quick is that McLaren in a straight line, man? The way it just pulls off those corners is ridiculous. As here comes Oscar Piastri down the inside. Oh, gotta be careful. Charles Leclerc there trying to make a move as well.
Lost a position, that's us down a place.
So Charles Leclerc, he could afford to not score points in this sprint race and still mathematically have a shot at the world title. But it would then require that he wins the Grand Prix and Verstappen doesn't score. So that's not the line through there. Come on, we got a nice run this time round on Oscar Piastri, who wants to sit defensive to the outside. Can we hook it up the long way around this time? He really does like to give me a squeeze there, doesn't he? Try and keep the nose. Nope. Oscar Piastri turns in. Very much tells me it's his corner. Oh, we just don't have the pace to keep up with the AI at the moment. We really did seemingly sacrifice a lot of race pace for our qualifying trim. So Oscar Piastri now breaks out of the range, so I'm sure Charles Leclerc is about to fly past me. There's still a big battle going on for the lead, though. Perez, Hamilton, and Fernando Alonso duking out of the front. What on earth has happened there? Could just see a huge Constantina and up, and now maybe we're all going to be able to get back in that group. But we are out of the points here in the sprint. Was qualifying, well, going to be our greatest showing in the final corner then to start the last lap of this sprint race. And it's safe to say our tyres have completely gone.
Final lap, push, push.
Haven't had any issues with overheating or anything like that, so I got really no idea why. But we have just got nothing left on them at the moment. They are sliding around all over the place around this Texas circuit. And, well, we've dropped the reins to Charles Leclerc in front. All I can hope is that the AI going to Constantina back up at some point, because it is Hamilton and Fernando Alonso battling it out for the lead, just like we saw back at Zandvoort a few weekends ago. But yeah, as we make our way through, we've just got nothing left. And honestly, I'm vulnerable to Lance Stroll behind, which I really don't want towards the end of this GP there. We certainly haven't got the pace to fight with the big boys this weekend, and we kind of just sit in this horrible middle ground where we're just that bit quicker than the AI behind. You know, your Kick Saubers, your Alpines, your V-Carbs, that kind of thing, but we just haven't quite got enough to fight the cars in front there, as once again you can see drivers side by side, huge lock-up as we try to tip the rear in there. As I think that's Lando, Norris and Carlos Sainz, the former McLaren duo, going side by side. But at the front of the field, though, I think Alonso is going to hang on to sprint race glory here at Kota. And of course, with Verstappen's mechanical failure, he's going to have to take a grid penalty as we head into the GP as well. Through the final couple of corners, Fernando Alonso back on top once again this season. He is going to win the sprint race here in Texas. Oh, as Lando Norris locks up at the very last corner of the Grand Prix, clips Charles Leclerc, but we are not close enough to get him. Well, there we go. Fernando Alonso takes the sprint win here from the front row of the grid, ahead of Hamilton and Sergio Perez there. Lando Norris, an absolute stinker, started P3, was still fighting for about P5, P6 at the end, and then, yeah, that lock-up at the very last corner of the sprint absolutely screwed him there. We don't pick up any points, though, from the sprint race, but yeah, just to confirm, there's still 172 points available between now and the end of the year, so Max Verstappen needs to score 10 here, or Charles Leclerc has to win or come second if Verstappen doesn't score.
The party in the USA continues right now. The circuit of the Americas, undulating, high speed, downright thrilling. It is time for qualifying to set the grid for the Grand Prix.
Well, Saturday evening then, always clearly marked here in Texas by the blinding sunlight as you try and make your way through the final couple of corners, but ready to kickstart our first lap at anger once more. We now have a bit of a better idea as to what to expect as we head into the Grand Prix, so trying to manage the tyres is going to be a tall order for us throughout the rest of the weekend there. Hopefully, we're going to try and get another good qualifying performance though. Not expecting to see Q3 this time. I think that was probably helped by the AI still getting a little bit confused with their tyre choices. So we'll give it our all. Well, we were 6/10 up on Daniel Ricciardo by the end of Sector 2, so we'd love to try and make our way into Q2 on just a single run. At the final corner, we go P11. We're quicker than the rest of the back markers, but slower than the rest of the front runners. F124 in a nutshell. Well, we did take a little bit of a gamble at the end of qualifying, but we have made it straight through and into Q2 there. So has Hulkenberg, though. So we absolutely love to see that. Both Williams, Kick Saubers, and Daniel Ricciardo out in Q1 this time. But yeah, Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez struggling a little bit. It is going to be a tall order to see ourselves into Q3. We might end up being the only backmarker driver that can spring a little bit of a surprise 4/10 up on Esteban Ocon there at the end of Sector 2, but we often are a little bit slower through this final sector of the lap, and it's lines like that that go to showcase exactly why that seems to be the case so far. Try and get the car balanced, aim for those curbs, hug the right-hand side of the circuit, 2 more corners to go. Want to be looking at the black box on the outside there. You flick it in, that was pretty nice and tidy. Through the penultimate corner there, just carried a little bit too much speed though off the final turn. P10! We just scraped through. Double Q3 delight then this weekend. 0.03 of a second clear of Lance Stroll, so very, very fine margins there. Oscar Piastri struggling a bit more in Q2 than he did in Q1, and we know Verstappen will have some grid penalties, but I don't quite know how many. But yeah, he's come back with vengeance. Russell, Carlos Sainz, and Oscar Piastri then have all gone slower than I managed in Q2, so there's definitely an option to upset a couple of drivers here by the end of qualifying. Verstappen, though, in another league at the front of the field, but Charles Leclerc needs to try and stay close with him by the end of the session. Alonso, okay, straight up onto provisional pole goes the Spaniard. That would be an upset for the books. I don't believe he's taken... Oh, no, he has taken pole, hasn't he? A couple of times, actually. A wily old fox. Not bad. Over 1 lap still inside this game as we try and attack the first sector once again. Definitely seems to be more and more grip as the circuit's cooled down, so able to take more out of our Pirelli tyres, as yeah, you can see as well, the lap's just coming together more and more right at the end of the session, but with so many drivers struggling as well, you know, you've got to be there to capitalise, and that's exactly what we seem to be able to do in this Haas, a bit like we saw with VCarb yesterday in qualifying for the real-life Canadian Grand Prix. If you've just got those extra couple of tenths on a circuit, that is all the difference with how bunched up the field seems to be nowadays. It's braking on the 100-meter board there. Try and keep it balanced through. 8/10 up on the time set by Sergio Perez at the moment. This lap is really coming together. I expect us to lose a little bit in the final sector to the Mexican. Just can't quite get the car where I need it. AI definitely have got a little bit more front end, able to look after their tyres a little bit more towards the end of the lap, with obviously how much we're trying to attack through Sector 1. 1 more corner to go, though. What is the time going to be on the board as Piastri moves up to P6? We are going to go P2. How? I am genuinely lost for words there. 0.03 away from Fernando Alonso at the end of qualifying. The lap felt good, but I wasn't expecting it to be that good at the end of the session. And P3 last weekend in Singapore, P2 here on the grid at COTA. Surely next time out in Mexico, pole position's on the cards. But I still feel like our race pace is gonna suffer.
F1 is so popular in these parts now that we race here 3 times a year, but let's give full respect to COTA, or the Circuit of the Americas if you prefer, which laid the foundations for it. It still remains the United States Grand Prix. It's the Circuit of the Americas then. Situated 14 miles outside the great city of Austin, this is a 3.6-mile lap with 20 corners, 10 to the left and 10 to the right. Top speeds are around 200 miles per hour. Overtaking opportunities are available in turns 1 and 12, especially with that rear wing DRS wide open. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Fernando Alonso yesterday puts him on pole position. Mr. Monaco completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Hamilton, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Russell, Sainz, Stroll, Ocon, Gasly, Leclerc, Hulkenberg, Albon, Ricciardo, Bottas, Sargent, Joe, Tsunoda, and Max Verstappen completes the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Okay, as you know, this is the team's home race, which means it's extra important for everybody in this team. They've got friends here, they've got family here, they're all in the grandstands watching, so let's go and put on a good show for them.
I don't think Mark has ever spoke truer words inside F124. Haas, we've got a huge opportunity today, starting on the front row of the grid. Now, I was actually planning on starting on the hards and trying to go long into the afternoon, but because we're so high up, it makes no sense at all, because I'm just going to lose a load of places off the start. So we're going to stay on the mediums, try to stretch them out to that hard period, and we'll see how we get on. Waiting on those 5 red lights here at Kota. It's going to be no time at all there. It's going to be lights out and away we go. And I think both Alonso and I got a little bit caught out by that. Hamilton once again getting a good start down towards turn 1. And again, we're going to wheel bang with a McLaren there through the first corner. Desperately going to try and squeeze Lando as we make our way down the hill. And he does just about back out of it there. So not afraid to get the elbows out at the start of this Grand Prix. As immediately you can just see how much better the AI able to work the car with full fuel on board. We've got a very, very good car. You know, it's a peaky car in qualifying. Absolutely finds its limits. But yeah, you get into a race, it's just not quite there as much. Which is a little bit of a shame as we try and dive it down into the hairpin. Max Verstappen, of course, got all that work to do from the rear of the field. So I'm intrigued to see where he's going to end up by the end of the afternoon. I think he's already making moves on Yuki Tsunoda and those kick Saubers as Hamilton practically pushing Fernando Alonso along down the back straight on lap 1. Oh, a little bit of understeer again there. We know how important it is to stay in these two's DRS early on as Piastri and Norris go side by side behind. I would quite happily let them battle and drop out of the DRS range early on as they're still side by side off the exit of the corner. This is beautiful at the start of the Grand Prix there. We've got to make sure we get them out of the range. Of course, they won't have the DRS here. It'll only be down the back straight. But what a start then to this Grand Prix. Alonso hangs on to the lead. Hamilton, though, absolutely loves this circuit up in P2. And we are still in the podium places. Oh, I think we only just kept Oscar Piastri out of the range. So that is really, really critical early on this afternoon that we keep him out. We have to make sure, of course, that we stay with Lewis and Fernando as well. I'm happy to sacrifice a little bit of tyre early on as here comes Lewis Hamilton down the inside of Fernando Alonso on just lap 2. These two have basically spent most of the weekend going wheel to wheel as Hamilton hops over the curbs. We've got battles in front, battles behind. I'm just having to stay put where we are at the moment as still Alonso and Hamilton side by side through the S's. This section of corners really does invite some beautiful Formula 1 racing. It is absolutely a sight to behold there, but all this is doing is bringing Piastri and Norris back into it, and that's not what we need early on. Struggling a little bit with the understeer, and I think Piastri might just have done it there, as look at this, Hamilton and Alonso, how are they still side by side up into the final corner of the lap? We've got to try and capitalise, though, on the exit of that final corner. We're going to make it 3 wide for the lead of the Grand Prix.
Pass for the lead of this race.
Haas to the front of the field, perhaps. The AI have so much confidence on the brakes at 1 as Hamilton down the middle will hang on to it, but we were temporarily, I think for a fraction of a second, leading Haas's home race. Come on then, we've got a run on Lewis Hamilton here. We're carrying a lot of decent speed down the end of the back straight. It's Alonso as well closing in on me. Can we go the long way around the 7-time Formula 1 champion? Or he tries to wiggle in front of me. Down the inside we'll go though. I'm certainly not going to back out of it if he wants to play like that. As we'll make it through. Hamilton will back out of it. Hamble again trying to look down the inside. Around the outside will go, though, get that power down into the Turkey S section. Surely now we're going to be able to hook it up. He's not going to give up, though. Around the outside goes Lewis Hamilton. Surely not. Oh, I hit the curb. I knew as soon as I did that then we were in trouble, as we'll give Hamilton the spot into that final corner. I mean, he'll have the DRS, annoyingly. It is just carnage at the start here in Kota. So here goes Alonso again. I'm going to back out of it. Are we going to see Alonso down the inside of Hamilton? No, we're not. He thinks better of it. But what is this at the start of the race? Everybody wants to be at the front of the field. I am loving it. Here goes Fernando Alonso to the inside of Lewis Hamilton, as I've noticed just how potent the top speed is when you've got the double slipstream there. I think that was Oscar Piastri trying to have a look to the inside of myself. As Hamilton, he doesn't know whether to defend or attack at the moment. I guess the important bit is that no one breaks away there, as down the inside of the Mercedes will go. Make sure we give him the room on the exit of the corner, and well, that's exactly what I didn't want to do. Let Fernando Alonso break free.
That overtake button a bit more.
Around the outside of the moat will go, though. That was really, really scary. You just have no idea whether Hamilton is going to understeer or anything like that. But I tell you what, this new patch has certainly made F1 racing just chaos. Oh, damn it. I've lost the DRS to Alonso. Oh, no. I mean, that might be Alonso gone now. That might be Fernando setting off into the sunset. We can't afford to give up on it. Maybe if we can give Hamilton a slingshot up past me and back within the range, which I think we just about will. They're going to back out early. It's in our best interest to do so. There is so much strategy in F1 24. Well, these really are critical laps then in this Grand Prix for Fernando Alonso, because at the moment Hamilton doesn't seem to be able to get back in the range of the Aston Martin. Of course, if Alonso can just, inch away another second or two, then he'll be looking pretty safe for most of the afternoon. Is that a an Alpine even, ahead of Sergio Perez? I think there might genuinely be an Alpine in P6 here as well, which is quite mad. But yeah, Ferrari really struggling this weekend, so I think no matter where Verstappen comes, it is now mathematically going to be his World Championship. We are just desperately trying to keep up with Lewis. I think if Alonso set sail into the sunset, we might as well try and battle with Lewis Hamilton again then, as to the outside we go of the Merc. This time around he actually is willing to give me a bit more room on the apex. So we'll try and move back through into P2 then. You can see we're definitely struggling again with the understeer. But at least this time around we kind of know what we're expecting. That is one of the joys of the sprint race. It gives you an idea what's going to happen during the first stint. We are running way too much downforce, it feels like, at the moment. Hamilton back down the inside at turn 1. Oscar Piastri, thought about it as well there. Of course, one of my big championship rivals.
We need to stay on form.
Yeah, I think at the moment we're probably better off just hanging in Lewis's slipstream. I think it leaves me vulnerable to the cars less vulnerable, to the cars behind. Oh, we got yellows. Someone's got issues. I think that's the other Red Bull.
Safety car deployed. Safety car's been deployed. Watch your delta. Make sure you keep it positive as we catch the pack.
No idea what's gone on there, as Hamilton, we almost got the jump on him under the red flag. I didn't see anyone out. I don't know if Sergio Perez went for a spin or what happened. Well, let's ride on board then with Sergio Perez as he makes his way up into turn 1. I think we're going to see him just go for a little bit of a pirouette. And Esteban Ocon's going to lose his front wing on him. So we've got a roadblock here at Kota. And, I mean, Perez may be unlucky, but that was absolutely his fault. Well, that basically means that, of course, everyone is going to make the switch over to a set of the hard compound tyres ready for the second half. But Alonso has been royally screwed. 5 red lights once again here at Kota, and it is going to be lights out and away we go. And I've done a terrible job off the start there. Perez with a 5-second penalty. So yeah, clearly the FIA deem that incident was his fault, as we'll try and defend from Piastri down at turn 1. What has happened to Lando Norris? That's what I want to know.
Remember to adjust your ERS mode and your MFD if you need to.
Yeah, surviving the start once again. Then Alonso, once more, is desperately going to try and run away. Hamilton, though, has been given a lifeline here to really fight with him. But I want to, again, try and stick with the pair of them as best as I can. Oh, here we go. Hamilton to the outside of Fernando Alonso. A power move by the Brit once again. And, I mean, these two have just been putting on a show all weekend, haven't they? Absolutely fantastic for the fans and everybody else, and fantastic for me again, because it gives us a better chance to keep up with the pair of them. Try and have a look, see if the AI have kind of separated. I think the gap behind Sergio Perez is starting to open up a little bit there as Alonso will hang on to that lead for now, but surely Hamilton with the DRS.
Martin driver's just moved into first place.
Yeah, his name's Fernando, Mark. I don't know how you don't quite know that. Oh, here we go. Hamilton again to the outside of Alonso. Alonso's desperate to make him work for it if he wants it. And again, Alonso just gets the elbows out. Well, it is a real fine line between saving the tyres to make sure we got enough to get to the end and, of course, really wanted to try and fight for the lead of this GP. That's what we're going to try and do once again as Hamilton closing in on Alonso. They're going to go defensive. We're going to go to the outside of Fernando as he's going to get Ricciardo zonted down the back straight there. Hamilton will hang on to the lead. We'll move up into P2. And the Spaniard down to P3 for the first time since about lap 3. Well then, let's go for it. Lewis Hamilton, battle for the lead of the US Grand Prix, racing for Haas. This is what dreams are made of at the moment. As we make our way around the outside, we have done it. We are through. I didn't think we'd be saying that after the early laps. That red flag was perfectly timed. Well, I'm happy that we have officially led some laps today, but I always knew this wasn't going to last for very long. Hamilton back down the inside. So we make our way down the back straight. Oh, Alonso, I just spotted him there at the last moment. Oh, Hamilton locks up. Oh, okay. Well, suddenly we've been given a bit of a lifeline then, as I think Alonso panicked. Hamilton locks up, and I said we weren't going to hang on to the lead for very long. But suddenly we might just hang on to it a little bit longer, and if they fight, maybe, just maybe, we can try and build up a bit of a gap there. We've got to use the battery, get Alonso out of the DRS range, which we might just about do. That is glorious. Well, I must admit, this game really does feel like you've just got to utilise the DRS as best as you can, as Alonso this time to the inside. Yeah, we don't have the pace to beat them.
They might make a mistake and we could still regain the position.
Yeah, we certainly just don't have the raw pace to beat the AI, but we certainly, you know, are able to try and out-strategize them as well, which sounds probably more... Yeah, I'm not convinced it sounds impressive at all. The AI still desperately need a bit more intelligence, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. But we'll try and hang with Alonso as best as we can. We can use the DRS of 1 to defend from the next. Oh, yeah, we are struggling. We are really struggling. I'm desperate to try and stay in the range of Alonso at the moment. Well, I think Hamilton is aware of how much we're struggling as well here. And he's probably going to be looking to try and make a move in the not-too-distant future. Here comes the Mercedes man. Is he going to try and look down the inside? No, he's not. I wonder if Fernando Alonso has just taken a little bit too much out of his tyres late on in the day. As to the outside we go at three-quarter distance. He's got a long way still. He needs to take those hard, but you can certainly see it's not going to be easy for us towards the end of the afternoon. Oh, I wanted to have a look down the inside there, but immediately worked out that was not a good idea. Come on. I just want to believe win number 3 is on the cards. At the very least, a podium. We got yellows, we got yellows. Someone with issues, maybe? I think that's... Is that Verstappen breaking down again? It is! Max Verstappen! He's going to be out of both the sprint and the US Grand Prix here, so a heartbreak for the Red Bull man after a I mean, he still hasn't won since Silverstone. He literally is not going to win a race in the second half of the year and is still going to be world champion. Verstappen out again. Double DNF for the Dutchman. But ultimately, I got bigger things to worry about as Alonso almost gets me out of his DRS range. I really did think then that was going to be a mechanical failure in this Grand Prix. I'd love the HUD to disappear though, because I'm worried we're about to lose the range to Alonso, and I think we just about have we? It was exactly a second. Are we still within the range of Alonso? Not with driving like that, I'm not. We've still got the DRS though. But I think now is Hamilton's opportunity to try and get past me here. We cannot afford to let this race fall apart right towards the very end, as here comes Lewis. I might be able to slingshot him back into the range of Fernando. As down the inside goes Lewis Hamilton. I don't want to fight him too much. I want to make sure that we're both close enough to Alonso.
Okay, we've lost a position. That's us down a place.
You've got to think bigger picture. We've got to think strategically here. And if those two can fight, that is my best shot of competing for the victory. Bit of deja vu then from earlier on in the race. It doesn't seem like Hamilton has got the pace over Alonso. We might be about to see the Spaniard's second win in green. It's almost met in the middle there with Lewis down in towards the final sector. Oh, a little bit of wheel banging, I'm sorry. We were trying to get it slowed down. I mean, we have absolutely cooked these tyres. They are so screwed. Oh, I mean, look at the speed Hamilton, when he wants it, is able to carry down that back straight there. Again, the Merc through. And again, I mean, we're just going to be basically battling for the DRS on the final lap, aren't we? I can already tell. Well, I don't know how many times we've seen it today. To the outside of Hamilton again, down the DRS straight. Boy! Haven't done that one too many times, though. Completely locked the rears up somehow. The rear able to find grip once again, but you just, I mean, you feel a certain lack of, well, just feel underneath you after those kind of incidents. As Hamilton are back out of it, 2 laps to go. Alonso set to get his 2nd win of the year. Well, Fernando Alonso then starts the final lap of the US Grand Prix. I'm intrigued to know what's going to happen here, because of course now the game will know mathematically that Verstappen is world champion, so we might end up seeing the celebration again. But of course he doesn't have a working car, which is quite an issue if he wants to do those celebratory donuts. It's not the way anyone wants to win a world championship, but it is going to be the way. I mean, Max Verstappen, he cannot win a world title normally, can he? Obviously, won his 1st in controversy, won his 2nd because of a post-race penalty for Charles Leclerc, won his 3rd in a sprint, and looks like he's going to win his 4th from the garage there. Disappointing end to the afternoon for the Dutchman, but we wanted a podium today. We wanted to leave COTA with a trophy. Fernando Alonso, as soon as the Dutchman started struggling, has absolutely asserted himself as the dominant driver today. But one more time down this back straight, are we going to be able to hang on ahead of Hamilton and Oscar Piastri there? Hamilton's actually dropping back. Oscar Piastri is going to make the move up into P3 then, so no idea what's happened to Hamilton, as here goes Oscar on myself. So a cheeky double overtake then on the final lap of the race. Is he going to be able to hang on to it, or are we going to be able to try and get the better of our championship rival there? We're still side by side as we navigate our way through the S's. We've just got to try and keep the wheels alongside, so he feels obliged to give me the room there. Fernando Alonso, 2 corners to go, will hang on ahead of Oscar Piastri for now, and it is going to be the Spaniard with his 2nd victory of the year there. Things you absolutely love to see, but with 1 more corner to go, Haas, we are going to get another podium in this season, and we've done it at home.
A truly magnificent drive then, and a great performance from the entire team to secure victory here in Austin.
Well, that's 2 wins in a row for them now. That's really going to help them gain confidence and start to build that momentum that they're really going to be looking for.
Aston Martin's performance today has shown that they can be competitive with the biggest names in the sport. They're making their way out onto the podium now as we speak, and the reaction from the crowd must be incredibly uplifting for them.
Well, there we go. Fernando Alonso, the full 33 points this weekend for FA14 there, and win number 34 of an illustrious career. Lewis Hamilton will come through for P2 ahead of Oscar Piastri, and myself, we got 12 points. I don't know what's happened to the finishing order there. I think we might have slightly broke the game. So it classified as P4 because I crashed over the finish line. And then I think after that, I had saved the original results, even though I then finished P2. We have completely broken it in that instant there. So Esteban Ocon is going to score 10 points despite finishing 11th. Lando Norris gets 8 points for finishing 9th. George Russell gets 6 for finishing 6th. Any other weird ones? I think we're missing one more, aren't we? No, apparently not. So take from that whatever you will. Don't crash going over the finish line inside F124. But that means having a look at our Drivers' Championship. Yep, it has been confirmed now. Max Verstappen, I believe there's only 160 points left available now this season. So he has now got a 162-point lead over Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc there, who are tied in second place. Carlos Sainz in P4 ahead of both Merc still, as we are now 20 points back behind Oscar Piastri as well. Constructors-wise, Red Bull 114-point lead there, so that gap is still coming down each and every weekend, despite the fact Ferrari have had an utter nightmare here, so that one is still all to play for late on in the campaign. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the Mexican Grand Prix.